Hello guys, and welcome to another Drupal lesson. In this lesson, I'll talk about multi-language content, translations, and multi-languages inside the site. So, first thing, we need to have a Drupal instance. I'm using the same one from our previous lessons, and it's Drupal 7. Now let's download some modules. Get the entity translation module. This module allows fieldable entities to be translated into different languages. Then, internationalization module. This is a collection of modules that extend Drupal core multilingual capabilities and are able to build real-life multilingual sites. Internationalization module also requires variable module, so download that as well. Now let's get to our Drupal instance and log in with an admin user. Before we activate these new modules, let's talk a little about the reasons of why we need multi-languages and translations. Well, number one reason is that not all of your readers are from your country. Then what about if your country has two official languages, like Canada? Canada has both English and French languages, so from the start, a client from Canada will want a multi-language site. Another reason is that a multi-language site brings you more customers, and so you will see an increase of your sales. Then, a multilingual site demonstrates you think, work, and deal internationally. I, as a developer, work with English language as the default one. But my client might want to have the interface and content in another language, let's say Chinese, and I don't know that language. When I'll deliver the site, I could remove the English language, but how will I be able to help the client with the site updates if I won't be able to understand the interface? Okay, enough talk, I think you get the point. So, let's activate the modules. Go to Modules page. Search for entity. Enable entity translation. It says here that it requires another module, that it is disabled. It's okay, you will be asked in the next screen if you want to enable it so that you can enable entity translation. Then also entity translation menu. Now search for internationalization module. Activate it. This one requires two modules, both disabled now. Save configuration. Here it tells you that some other modules are needed to be activated in order to activate the selected ones. Click Continue. Now let's see if entity translation is activated. Search for translation and let's activate some more modules. Field translations, taxonomy translations, and variable translations. Now let's add some languages to our site. Under Configurations, go to Regional and Language, and then click Languages. Here you see that you already have a language. This is a default language added when you've installed your Drupal instance. You will not be able to translate strings from this language, so it is best to duplicate it. Click Add Languages and let's create a new language. Click Custom Language and complete fields. Now make this language the default one. Let's add a new language now. Since I'm from Romania, I'll choose Romanian language from the drop-down. Since Romanian is not a default language, you can edit or delete it. Let's also change the path prefix code for English language. We've added the same language code for English US language. Good. Now that we have two languages, we have to configure the detection and selection rules. Let's enable URL method for both user interface and content. User interface text are these strings from the tab, or strings from form buttons, or anything else that you cannot add from a field. Now we have two methods enabled, URL and default. So, first Drupal looks for a language code after the host, like /row or /en, and if that is not present, it will show the content in the default language, in our case in English. We can configure URL method to look for either path prefix or domain. Now let's go to a content type and activate translations. Structure, content types, and click project or whatever content type you want. On the Publishing option tab, you'll get a multilingual support option. Check Enable with Field Translation and hide the translations link. This way you'll be able to change the language only from the language switcher block. Save content type. Now on the modules page, search again for Entity Translation module. Next to it, you'll see a permissions link, and if you click the small arrow, also a configure one. Click configure. We need here to select the entities that can be translatable. Node is by default checked, but also check taxonomy term, also check user. Save. Now for nodes, you only get project because only for project content type you've activated the translation. Choose as default language for a newly created node the default language option. Hide the language selector and exclude the language neutral from the available languages. Do the same for the taxonomy term and user tabs. Save configurations. Let's enable translation for a new content type. Edit article and enable translation. Back to Entity Translation page and refresh it. Now you also get the article content type as an option for configuration. Do the same settings and click Save. Let's add a node of type project. It looks bad, but do not look at the CSS part for now. You will get a new tab, Translate. Click it. Here you will see a table with all languages. You also see that the English US is the content original language and that it is published. For the rest, it says not translated. And under operations, no translatable fields. This means that even if you activated the translation option for the main content type, you still have to do something for the fields. So back to Content Types page and click Manage Fields for project. In a previous video, I've said that to be able to have the content title field as a separate field and to be able to translate it, you will need the title module. After you activate the module, the title fields appear into the Manage Fields tab and you get a replace link. Click it. Now, instead of the replace link, you get the edit and delete. Let's click edit. The form looks like the one from a normal text field. At the end of it, for the field translation option, you get the disable translation link. This means that the translations are activated for this field. Back to the Manage Fields form. For image field, we do not need to activate translations. We want the same image no matter what the language. Let's translate the body field. Click Edit and then go to the bottom of the form. There, under Field Translation, you will find an Enable Translation link. Also, you will see a list of content types where this field is present, meaning that it was either added by default by Drupal or from an Add Existing Field option. Click Enable Translation and then Confirm. Scroll down. Disable Translation appears. Save. Now let's go back to the translation page of our newly created node and refresh it. Under Operations, we get links to add translations. Click Add for Romanian language. As you can see, we are on the Edit tab. Now we get two extra subtabs with the name of the languages. We are on Romanian language. Let's change English string to Romanian. Now save. Strings are there. Let's add the content language switcher block to the left sidebar region so that we can switch between languages and see the change. Let's check the name of the region. Sidebar first. Whoops! There. Now let's drag it on top of the other blocks. Now save. And let's refresh our node. See, language switcher block is there. We are on Romania. Let's click English US. And there you go, you get the English version of the node. Click Romanian again and you'll get the Romanian version. Easy, right? Okay, now for the interface translations. Interface means the text for edit, translate, devel. Let's search for that. Go under Configurations, then Regional and Language, and then click Translate Interface. This is the overview page where you get an overview of available translatable strings. Click Translate. We get a list of all strings and also a form to filter the strings. Search for devel with capital letter. Translations are case sensitive and they also depend on where they were discovered. You have multiple results, but try to find the one that has the path close to where you have the string that you want to translate. The last one looks like what we need. See, the first one is still devel, but with lowercase. ENUS and RAW are striked. That means that there are no translations added for this word for those languages. Click Edit. Let's add something for both. And save. Now let's search for translate. The path doesn't help us, but luckily there is only one string that matches the one that we need. Edit it. You see the difference for when you add translations to strings? Okay, back to our node and refresh. See, strings were translated. Switch to English US. And we have different strings. If you go to the language that was added by default on the instance installed, you will get the default strings and also the node in its default language. Please feel free to ask me any other questions about this topic. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye bye!